He played for Chelsea, Everton and Tranmere and was regarded as one of the most skillful ball players in the game. Now 34, Pat Nevin is an important player for Kilmarnock as they attempt to make their mark in a hotly competitive Premier League. And don't tell Nevin that Scottish football is all kick and rush.
I didn't really expect anything. I just came up with an open mind, and as I say, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the standard, the skill that a lot of players have got. I suppose some people suggested to me before I came that, you know, it would all be kick and rush, you know, it would be all crash bang wallop, and I've not found it like that at all, to be honest.
Nevin scored for Killie against Hibs last week, a speculative effort to say the least. But having come north with a big name reputation, some Killie fans were looking for more from him.
I haven't really noticed, but somebody mentioned the fact that you know, they were expecting a lot. But I think the Kilmarnock fans, they know football. I mean, football fans generally know what it's all about, and they realise it takes a little while to settle in, you know. And I really wasn't match fit for the first number of games, but these last 3 or 4 games I've got my match fitness back, and to be honest, the fans have been brilliant to me, and they've really got behind us. And certainly, maybe scoring a goal there is probably, you know, that can relax me completely.
I suppose I've got big expectations of so-called big name stars, and Pat's no exception. He's had to work very hard to turn them round, as did Paul Wright, myself, and most players that come to this club. They've really got to work hard to get the fans on their side. But he's slowly getting there.
And now Nevin will head to Ibrox tomorrow as Killie attempt to chalk up much needed points. And here, Nevin is typically pragmatic about that occasion.
I think you look forward to every single game up here, but obviously Celtic and Rangers are something I think people talk about all the more. If I'm going to be totally and utterly honest about it, it is actually only another 3 points. I mean, if we get 3 points against Rangers, it's the same as 3 points against Hibs, it's the same as 3 points against Celtic. As a Kilmarnock player and for the Kilmarnock fans, that's all you want, really.
And it just wouldn't be Pat Nevin if it wasn't fully occupying his mind away from the football field. Few players can come away with an answer like this.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose over the last number of years, the PFA stuff, the Chairmanship, the Union down there took up an awful lot of my time, and it is an important job, and it was a big job, and it was an ever-growing sort of, it was expanding exponentially all the way through it, but certainly I've given that up now, and the last year has been taken up a lot with writing my first book, and I'm really pleased with the way that's turned out. It was more of a kind of, it's a football book, but it's kind of different from the norm. It's kind of more involved in the psychology of the footballer, and it's been fairly well received, and I'm quite happy about it.
And how do you sum up the psychology of the modern day player?
Buy the book, 350 pages, I can't do it in a line.
His career is back in Scotland, his family is still in England, and Pat Nevin's settling in period at Kilmarnock has taken longer than he'd hoped. But there have been signs in the last few games that the multi-skilled 34-year-old is ready to recapture his top form.
I wanted to come back home. I was coming back home anyway at the end of my career, whatever happened. You know, there was no, although I was away for 15 whole years down in England, there was at no point in that 15 years that I considered settling there. I was always coming back to Scotland. I enjoyed my times at Chelsea and Everton at the top level, but I mean, taking away from Tranmere, I enjoyed my times there, and the first division is a good standard down in England as well. But I mean, if you're playing the Premier League in any country, you know, and especially your own country, you can't talk about that as a come down. And there's a lot of good players here, and there's a lot of good technique here as well, and I think a lot of people quite often talk Scottish football down. I think it's pretty easy to talk it down a lot of time, but I find it enjoyable, I find it entertaining, and I find a lot of good football being played.
Nevin also finds time to write. His new book tries to get inside the footballer's head.
A lot of books have been written by footballers and have not necessarily been the highest quality, and I wanted to look into it a little bit more depth. It's not one of those books that I scored a cracker and I felt great kind of books, you know. Really, I mean, I'm not particularly interested in the goals that I scored, and I'm sure the reader isn't generally interested either. It was more what a footballer goes through, what they feel. And it has to be said, I've been a bit of an outsider, even though I've been playing for 15 years, and even though I was the chairman of the PFA in England, I've always felt a bit of an outsider. And sometimes, if you're an outsider inside, you can get the best view of all, and that was the reason why that opportunity arose, and I kind of took it. I'm quite happy with the result of it. It turned out the way I wanted it to.
In football, is there a lack of getting inside the players' heads?
I think there is. In some, it's like football's like life. In some places you get no insight at all. In other places you get fantastic depth. I mean, if you look at the Steens, the Shankleys, the Busbys, and you can almost put Alec Ferguson in that category as well. their knowledge of the way different footballers' minds work is absolutely incredible, you know, and they could have been top psychologists in their own right. They understand players, and more importantly, they understand people. They would have been great managers if it was football or any business they'd done. And I think in football, the great managers are the ones that are capable of doing that and understanding that, but not all of them have that gift.
Pat Nevin has always dared to be different. His face was as likely to appear in the music press as in a football magazine. And while in London, finding him in the Tate Gallery was a better bet than searching through pubs and bookies.
I always argue that I'm perfectly normal. I always get people suggest this thing to me that I'm something odd or whatever, but I think I'm normal, you know. I'm interested in music and theatre and things like that. And I think that's, you know, a certain percentage of the population are into that sort of thing, but I mean, I've got time to do that just now as well, but it has to be said, once you get slightly older, taking care of the children's the big thing. All those big plans you had to go and spend 15 nights at the Edinburgh Festival and go and see all those strange French and German plays and films, it goes out the window because the kids have to be taken care of, but I enjoy that role. Probably enjoy that role more than any role, actually, if I'm going to be honest now.
The Killie fans are beginning to enjoy his football role as well. Nevin, back in his homeland, promises to be a player of influence at Rugby Park.